The Blaster Master series of games first started on the NES in 1988, with the initial game simply titled Blaster Master. Since the initial positive reception for the game, it seems Sunsoft had a hard time coming up with proper sequels, and most of the games were just rehashes and remakes. The games that weren't remakes went in various odd directions across many systems. The outcome of all of this left gamers with some pretty bad experiences in the Blaster Master series. So today we're going to discuss and resurrect some of these odd choices in our list of the top 5 worst Blaster Master games. Number 5. The biggest problem with the Blaster Master series is that there are rarely any new games. They are all just rehashes of the first game. Blaster Master OVERDRIVE is just another attempt at selling you the same game again. OVERDRIVE was released on Nintendo Wii eShop in 2010, a whole 10 years since the last Blaster Master game. Surely with that amount of time, they must have something really good cooked up, some fresh new ideas or something. Nah, just another remake of the original game. To be fair, it did have some new elements, a few new bosses and a nice graphical paint job, but once again it's just a copy of the original game. Like they had no idea what to do with the series. The biggest problem with this game is it was only released on the WiiWare, which means there's no physical copies of the game in existence. So, you might ask? Well, the eShop is now closed, and these games as of now are gone forever and unable to be purchased. So that's kind of a problem. Number 4. Five years after the original Blaster Master game on NES was released, we finally got an actual sequel. Well, by we I mean the people of North America only, because this game was never released in Japan or anywhere else besides North America for that matter. The first Blaster Master game was developed in Japan, and the staff that made that game had nothing to do with the sequel, Blaster Master 2, which might be evident in the gameplay. While the game does take the same hybrid gameplay from the original Blaster Master game, it somehow does it incorrectly. The best part of the game is the car parts with Sophia, but now the Jason sections are relegated to just walking into a door, fighting an underwhelming boss, and getting back in the car. That's it. No exploration, no maze sections as Jason, nothing. Just a boss room twice the stage. But that's not the worst of it. Without a doubt, the most annoying, aggravating, frustrating sections are these tank sections. This is an all-new gameplay style they chose to create. Sophia sections are often called tank sections, and this game really took that word to heart. In these hard overhead sections, Sophia controls like a tank, but the controls are a complete mess. It's so impossible to get the car to do what you intended to do. Not to mention, these sections are at the end of every level, transitioning into the next level, and they are long. Way too long. While I'm glad to see a true sequel to Blaster Master game, this game just completely missed the mark and ruined everything good about the original game. Number 3. In the year 2000, Sunsoft decided it was a good time to bring the Blaster Master series to a handheld market. More specifically, the Game Boy Color. This title was called Blaster Master Enemy Below, and was yet another remake reimagining of the original game. It features the same 8 levels, but the layout was reworked and some of the bosses are also original. The problem is this is another experience that feels the same as the NES Blaster Master. The sound and graphics are good, sure I'll give it that, but it feels weird to play so zoomed in. The car takes up most of the screen, and you have little time to react to oncoming enemies that quickly appear on the screen. While the boss fights are rather interesting and original, once again it's so zoomed in it feels very congested and claustrophobic. Thankfully, the game added a password feature, so you don't have to beat an entire Blastmaster game on a handheld in one sitting. Not much else to say about this, just another remake of the original Blastmaster game, this time on a handheld. Number 2. Number 2 on this list is the second to worst Blastmaster game ever made. This game was released on the Game Boy in 1991 in Japan and Europe, and in 1992 in North America. The game is so confusing, it has a different name in each region. In America, it's called Blastmaster Boy. In Europe, it's called Blastmaster Jr. In Japan, it's called Bomber King Scenario 2. Bomber King? It's not even called Blastmaster. So what's all the confusion about? Well, it's not even a Blastmaster game. It's clearly a Bomberman game. More technically, it's a sequel to Robo Warrior, which is a spin-off of Bomberman, which in itself was released in North America on the NES anyway. So why not just call it Robo Warrior 2 and release it as such, like the correct title in Japan, calling it Bomber King Part 2? I guess the geniuses in America and Europe decided Bomberman wouldn't sell here, so they changed the name to say Blastermaster. At any rate, this game isn't actually that bad, except for the terrible dark stages where, if you run out of candles, which you will, you'll literally be walking around in a black screen, praying just to find the exit somehow. If they didn't trick us by changing the title and making us think we're buying a Blastmaster game, it probably wouldn't even be on this list. But for the blatant lie and market manipulation, it's earned its number 2 spot as the worst Blastmaster game. Cause it ain't Blastmaster. Number 1. Blastermaster blasting again. Where do I even start with this one? The game was released on a PlayStation in 2000 in Japan, and following a delay, was released in the Americas in 2001. Rather than a traditional 2D gameplay we've seen the entire series, Blasting Again had to take the 3D style that all games did in the early 2000s. The story of the game was also based on a book called Worlds of Power, a short series of books written in the early 90s based off Nintendo games. So the main characters here are Roddy and his annoying sister Elfie. So on to why the game's so horrible. Well, first of all, the game is in 3D as mentioned earlier. It didn't really work well for Blastermaster in my opinion. The camera work is bad, and you just can't tell depth perception or where they want you to go next. The platforming is very difficult to do, and the game is so dark you can't even see what the hell's going on. Not to mention the loading times are plentiful and extremely long. Every door or new section you go into, be prepared to wait over and over again. The music is uninspired and the boss fights are a joke. Look at this slop and tell me you have any idea what the hell's going on right now. My favorite stupid boss is the chicken with his head cut off running around the screen. I mean, come on. The game is 8 levels long, but it's actually just 4 levels played twice. The levels are all brown, muddy graphics, with uninspired visuals, gameplay, and even the names. Check out these incredibly creative names for the levels. Plant, water, ground, cave. Give me a break. The biggest problem with this game is that it's just not fun, like, not at all. It's extremely boring and just a chore to get through. This is one of those games I'll never play again in my life. It just felt like a job to get through it. No entertainment, excitement, wonder, challenge, nothing. Just an empty void of a game. A 15+ hour game, that is. So do yourself a favor and never attempt this game. Trust me. Thanks again for watching this video, and if you want to see videos from the #1 spot, click up here in the top right. If you want to see all the videos of this series, click down here in the bottom right. Thanks for watching.